Welcome back to another episode of JK Philly. We hope you enjoy the video. If you don't mind dropping a subscription and a follow to the channel, we greatly appreciate it. Let's get into it. When Tone texted the chat earlier and he said Patrick Mahomes was out for the season, because I was like, damn, we got a nice little section to talk about then if he's out for the season. But I think we can realistically talk about it still, even though if he's not out for the season or not. Like, obviously it's something that's concerning him, and he might be somebody that we see in the Super Bowl if we get there.
Yeah, and it'll make the road in the AFC that much easier if he's not out there. I'm not sure how serious his injury is,
Didn't
but
he didn't he tweak his ankle last year too?
yeah, he is Mister. It looks like he's about to go down with a big injury, and
Mm-hmm.
then he goes into that medical tent and jogs back out on that field. I don't know what they shoot him up with in there, but
Mm-hmm.
he always seems to get through it.
Yeah, that was the. What was that last year when he did that when we were talking about it, or was that when he played against the Eagles where that happened, and we like really thought he was done? I feel like it was the Eagles.
It might have been. I feel like he has something like every season.
Yeah, yeah, it's felt like that. So what are your predictions with how the way the season is ending? We just had that game against the Steelers. They had a pretty good performance against them. Now we got what, three or so games left, 2 games left, something like that. Where do you
I
think
think it's
we're?
four.
4 games
I
left.
think so. What's the Eagles' record?
12-2.
12-2. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's 3 games left.
So the Eagles are 12-2 now with 3 games left. They had a good performance against the Steelers with these last couple games coming up. What are you expecting? What does it look like is going to end up happening, or is it kind of just like we're still up in the air of who we can really see during or like who we can see as like a real contender during playoff time?
Yeah, as far as the regular season goes, I think they win out. I don't see them losing a game. I think the Steelers were probably their toughest remaining game.
Hmm.
Playoffs, I think it's the Eagles and Lions. I think those are your best teams. NFC stacked this year. Some really good teams, especially in that in the Lions division, because you're going to get the Lions. It's looking like the Vikings and the Packers both might get a wild card, so you're going to be three of the four teams from that division in the playoffs, and they're all good teams. Plus, there's another team in the wild card hunt that's really good that's not from that division. But there's been a couple the last few years, the wild card teams in the NFC have been a little weaker. Not this year, man. Oh, the Commanders from the Eagles division. They hold the last wild card spot. So there's some good teams that you don't necessarily want to see in the play. It's not like in years past where there was a team in the playoffs where you were like, oh, I want to see them. Like maybe whoever comes out of that Seattle division is probably going to be the weakest team in the playoffs, but a lot of talent in the NFC this year, man.
So after going over all those teams, who's, like you said, the Lions obviously, but who's like somebody we don't want to see?
I would say the Packers, man. Packers seem to be putting it together at the right time. Jordan Love, over the last two things, has a weird thing where he seems to really lock in later in the season
Hmm.
and cut down on the thing that kills Jordan Love is he throws so many interceptions. But his late season numbers with interceptions are the interceptions go way down. He obviously had that big playoff performance against the Cowboys last year where they just blew them out the water
Yeah.
for off the in that playoff game. So I don't know if you want to see the Packers in the playoffs, but the way the Eagles are rolling right now, I think it should be other teams worried about running into them.
Right. Right.
They look, I don't want to say unstoppable,
Hmm.
but the second half of that football game, like it just you could see them pulling away from the Steelers. Like you could see the gap between the two teams. The first half was closer.
Yeah.
You could see the gap in the teams really in the second half of that game.
Yeah. Out of your big players like Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Smith, who's something else that we really need to look at as like they could be 50-50 for us, and we really need like to depend on them to play their role.
A lot of them young guys on defense. You don't want the. Sometimes younger players can hit a wall late in the season because they're used to these shorter. Like in college, you play a max of like 13 games.
Yeah.
You can play four. You used to be able to play 14 with the old college football playoff system. If you made it to the championship game, you play 14. But now you got to play 17 and then the playoffs.
Right.
So you worry about the young boys like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell maybe hitting that rookie wall.
Right.
They need the linebackers to keep playing the way they've been playing. Those guys have really stepped up, both of them, in the second half of the season. They look great. Zach Bond came out of nowhere and has been arguably the best linebacker in football this year. So they just need them boys to keep playing. That defensive line is going to be that defensive line. They have one of the best defensive lines in football, if not the best, with Jalen Carter just wrecking havoc in the middle of that line every game. So just need them young guys on defense to keep doing what they've been doing.
Who does it look like we're going to go up against if we do make it to the Super Bowl?
I've said before, until somebody shows me they can beat the Chiefs, I'm always going to ride with Patrick Mahomes. He's pretty much taken the torch from Tom Brady as that team that you got Super Bowl aspirations. Well, you're going to see me in the playoffs, and you better be ready for a battle. It seems like every year, which makes it even harder because, as the team that needs to go in and beat the Chiefs, you don't want that game to become your Super Bowl. Like, you coming from the AFC, you focus so much on beating them because they're there every single year, and they've been to the Super Bowl, for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to harp so much up on that game. Like, I'm sure it's not hard to get up for the Super Bowl and get hyped for the Super Bowl, but you don't want that big let off after, you throw everything at the Chiefs.
Right. So,
but Bills look good too, man. Bills look good. Ravens look good. I think it's probably, and Steelers lost yesterday, but them Steelers are always going to play a hard game. I think the Steelers one of those teams that could lose to anybody, but could also beat anybody.
Yeah.
So there's some good teams in the AFC, but I think your real threats are probably the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs.
Right. Maybe that's what I was going to say. Out of if Patrick Mahomes does get hurt, or he is actually more hurt than he's leading on that he is, basically, would you assume that it would probably be the Bills that would be the second strongest team coming out of that division?
I would say right now, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing holding me back from saying absolutely yes is they saw the Ravens earlier in the year, and the Ravens absolutely destroyed them. It was 35-10. The game was never really close. It was out of hand very early. The Bills over the years, outside of one game, have not really showed an ability to stop Lamar Jackson. They really struggle against Lamar.
Well, I don't think there's much else in terms of Eagle space that you can talk about. We'll just continue to watch our last few games and see how we perform with that. We can just talk about the injuries for the Sixers. Even though the game is going on right now as we speak, it's halftime. I don't feel like, even though Paul George and Tyrese Maxey are having a good game right now, this game doesn't matter against the Hornets. But still, in the grand scheme of things, after this Joel Embiid injury and now Jared McCain injury, not to a greater scale, but Caleb Martin's hurt. Kyle Lowry's been dog water. Eric Gordon's barely been playing. It's been dog water. We're just... When is the point as a Sixers fan for this season to just be like, yeah, let's chalk it up? Because I feel like I'm at that point right now of we can't catch a break with anything. It's about to be in a month or so, maybe a month and a half, the All-Star weekend. We're almost done. Not almost done, but we're almost halfway there. We're creeping towards the end of the season. What's the point of, trying to still make a break for it at this point?
Unless these guys come back healthy, I don't see one. And mainly Embiid, because we know best case scenario, McCain's back in 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's best case scenario. And it's one of them things. Do you really want to rush a rookie back from an injury like that?
Yeah.
And like you were saying, in a season that looks like, chalk it up. If we haven't chalked it up yet, well, it's getting damn close.
Yeah.
Because they just can't catch a break. Not only, and outside of not catching a break, they're just not playing very well.
Yeah.
They can't get everybody on the court. Like you said, we were just going over the box score before this. With McCain out and Embiid out, you got Paul George sitting on 20 at halftime. You got Maxey sitting on 22. And then you have 3 guys with 2 points, 3 guys who've played over 5 minutes on 0 points, and Kelly Oubre's gotten you 6.
Right.
So, and without Caleb Martin out there, it's where's the scoring going to come from? Because it's not going to come from Andre Drummond. Yabusele might hit a couple threes, but you can't give him the ball when you need a bucket. Like you said, Kyle Lowry's been bad. He's old. Eric Gordon's been worse, and he's old. That's where's the scoring going to come from?
It just it doesn't like I understand people's love for the Sixers. Like, I'm a real Sixers fan. I'm not going to give up on the season. It's like, you can be a real Sixers fan and, like, care about the team and whatever, but then you can also just be dumb at the same time. Like, people are on social media, like, there's a lot of, like, I'm looking at news Sixers reports of just, like, there's a lot of hope within the team that they're going to make it back to 500 and, we're going to make a push for the playoffs. I'm like, y'all cannot be more delusional than that. Like, this is crazy. How are you saying we're like, okay, we might get to 500 and that's a big might, but even if we do, it's not going to mean anything. We can't get healthy, we can't stay healthy, we can't get anything to ramp up, we can't get any type of chemistry because people just keep going out hurt. Just chalk it up, man. Chalk it up for the season. Sit and be for the rest of the season. Take as much time as you need for Jarrett McCain because we don't want to rush him when we see how great he is. Just relax. Like, we're cooked at this point. Paul George, take off some more time at this point. Like, what's the point of playing? Just let Maxey go hoop. Let Paul George get his minutes in, and whatever. But it doesn't really make any sense to me of why they want to push the agenda of, like, we're gonna make it back and we still have Paul George, and when Joel's healthy, it's like, what do you mean when Joel's healthy? It just looks so inconsistent with everything else that's just piling on him. Like, it's just a bad environment. I don't even really know what else to say or communicate about it because that's really all it is. It's like, can't really say anything about it. It's just, it is what it is. He's just hurt. Everybody's hurt. Nobody has chemistry because we're all hurt. Just chalk it up.
Yeah, being realistic doesn't make you not a true fan of the team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let my eye. You can be a fan of the team. That doesn't mean let your eyes lie to you because you happen to support that team. I know what I'm watching out there on that basketball court.
Right.
And the one thing looming over it all is, even if you do chalk it up and you sit guys and you're like, we'll get a pick for next year. You better be picking top 6 or you don't get the pick. So if you get the 7th overall pick and it goes to the Thunder, well, why'd you chalk it up in the first place? You didn't have a pick to tank for anyway. You might as well have tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At this point, because we're not going to win, even if Paul George is 100% for the rest of the season and playoffs, and Maxey 100%, no problems, no anything, we're still not going to win anything. I don't
No, the
trust
team.
Maxey and what's his name? I don't trust Maxey and Paul George to get us anywhere anyway. We're just going to be, even if we do make it past the play-in, we're just going to get beat in the first round anyway. So what's the point of trying to push for it?
You hope everybody's healthy when the playoffs roll around, but that's a level of optimism that even I can't strive towards.
If it was like we had this team for like 3 years and we saw that it was like, okay, we can actually do some damage with this, then I'd be like, okay, let's see if we can make a push and hope we're healthy. But we're hoping we're healthy, and then it's also hoping that we can actually mesh together and play consistently like the way we're supposed to. We only seen a handful of games where we had our 3 stars in, so we can't really tell almost in January now what we're gonna look like during playoff time. So
Way too many ifs.
yeah, it's too many for
Way
you
too many.
to commit to one thing. Just chalk it up. It's over. Stop worrying about it. It is what it is. Take it on the chest. Like, you're watching these games. We're watching hard fought battles versus the Hornets and the Pistons and the Pacers that have looked like trash this year. And we're supposed to be like, oh, let's go to the Milwaukee Bucks game. That should be a good game. It's like, no, we get blown out by 30 in our home opener. Like, that's ridiculous. Or 40, whatever it was. So, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about the Sixers. I don't even care to talk about this Hornets game. If they win, congrats. If they lose, whoop-dee. Like, it doesn't matter to me at this point. I like watching our guys succeed when they can, but if they don't, it is what it is for the season.
Yeah, there's so many factors that need to go right. And like you said, all these factors need to go right for them to
Hmm.
maybe make it back to 500. Like, what are you shooting for here? We don't even have championship aspirations. We're hoping everybody gets healthy so we can claw back to 500
Right.
and make the play-in tournament.
Like, well, who are we even gonna play in the play-in tournament? Like, the Bulls.
Same teams we go against now.
Yeah, like it's not gonna be worth anything because we're just gonna lose. We're gonna lose to the Hawks. We're gonna lose to the Heat. We're gonna lose to the Bucks and the Celtics and the Knicks. Like we're not beating anybody with Paul George and just Maxey.
No,
It's
no.
just not gonna happen. You might beat the Bulls, and that's if Paul
If it's
George is
just
actually playing a good game.
if it's just Paul George and Maxey,
Hmm.
we're not even making the play-in tournament.
That's what I'm saying. So what's the point?
Yeah, we're not. Like I said, we would need to be back to fully healthy,
Hmm.
um, which would include Embiid and McCain
Hmm. Yeah, at
and
this point.
Martin. And even though Martin's not, his injury's not supposed to be long term, but I don't know. It just seems like every time I turn around, there's a new Sixers injury.
Might as well start tanking. Pull out Maxi and I keep saying Embiid. Pull out Maxi and Paul George early. Let our young guys pull Jeff Downton back up. Pull Justin Edwards back up and just play the guys at this point. just play him. Put a Dembona in there. Just play him at this point. Get them that experience so they build up for next year. Yeah,
Yep.
that's really where I'm at.
When Embiid's a year older and Paul George is a year older, and
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see, man. Dark times are on the horizons for the Sixers, I believe.
Oh man, I hope we can just pray that like if that's the way the rest of the season goes and we just tank and we're like one of the worst teams, we just pray that we get at least a top 3 pick. Even if it's top 5, but like top 3 pick, something like that.
Yeah, man, I'd love to get one of them. Obviously, best case scenario, first overall, I'd love to get Cooper Flag, but I'd like some Ace Bailey, and his teammate at Rutgers looks real good too. I can't think of the kid's name off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, we talked about him. I forget what his name is too.
He's been hooping, man. There's it looks like it's going to be a good draft this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not like last year where, um, I don't watch every college basketball game, but I stay pretty tapped in, and it was getting close to draft time, and I was like, I have no idea who the top picks are going to be this year. There's nobody really standing out in college basketball this year, but
Yeah.
that is not the case, or last year. That is not the case this year, though. There's a ton of guys sticking out. Cooper Flag right now he looks great for Duke, and people forget, he's still 17 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's crazy.
He'll be 18. He'll be 18 when he gets drafted into the NBA,
I have a
which is
bad
something.
feeling. I have a bad feeling Cooper Flag is going to the Jazz.
Uh, well, if he ain't on the Sixers, I don't care because he ain't gonna be on the Celtics or the Knicks. So
Man, I would love somebody at this point.
that's all right. Keep him in the West. Keep him away from me. If he
Oh
ain't gonna
man.
be on the Sixers, keep him in the West.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have to talk about. It's our mini rant. Um,
Are we still the worst team in the NBA record wise?
no, it's
No.
got to be the Jazz.
Okay. I
I
knew
think
we were.
I think us and the Hornets are similar records. I think so. If we beat them, we might be better than the Hornets at this point. But I don't know.
If we beat them, we might be better than the Hornets. Dark
Record
days are on
wise.
the horizons for them Sixers, baby.
We appreciate everyone who follows JK Philly. We will be doing a 500 subscriber giveaway, which we will continue to do for you guys as we reach different milestones on the channel. For this giveaway, we will be gifting one subscriber with an NFL team logos bomber jacket. All you have to do to enter is 1, subscribe to our YouTube, 2, follow us on TikTok, and 3, comment JK Philly on this video. Again, all you have to do to enter is 1, subscribe to our YouTube, 2, follow us on TikTok, and 3, comment JK Philly on this video. We appreciate the support and look forward to gifting one of you guys. Thanks for subscribing.